Well, we're going to get right back at this thing now. Except this time, you can see we've turned it around, so it's a lot easier to work on it now. And this time I'm going to take the fuel tank off so I can work down on it. I'm going to take the water pump out, so the cylinder head can go straight up and down. And hopefully that'll make this job a little easier. Alright, there's the toolbox and the air cleaner out of the way. I'll go over to the other side now. I'll probably take out the spark plugs and the carburetor before I take the gas tank off. It just gives me a little room to work underneath it. So I've gone ahead and made it just a little bit easier to work on. I got rid of the air cleaner, the toolbox, and I took out the great big old fuel tank from the top here. So now I can actually work on it. And this time, rather than trying to fish the cylinder head down against the water, I'm going to take the water pump down also, and we'll put it back when we're done. I really wanted to give it a bit of a compression test before I took the head off, but the spark plug holes are so huge. I mean, look at these things. Look at these. I don't have a compression gauge that'll fit in here, and it's some kind of oddball thread. I was not able to cobble anything up, so we're just going to have to lift the head off and see what we see inside. Well, that right there will explain why the cylinders were all full of coolant. I mean, look at that. So it would have gone from there into that cylinder and then out through the valves into the intake manifold and then migrated to the other three. So this either happened because it's a cheap head gasket that blew out as soon as it saw compression, or it could have happened because I was, with this thing in the way, I was jiggling the head around a little bit because it's really hard to get it. You can't put it straight down because you'll see the hub of the water pump sticks out. So you got to put it on and then slide it. So we're going to come up with a different way of putting it together this time. I'm not going through this again. And I'm going to try my hardest to find a dead soft copper head gasket like was on it originally instead of this composition one. So I got to go now and clean this all up, and we'll go from there. So while it's apart and we're waiting for gaskets and stuff to come because I have to order them all, might as well throw a coat of paint on it. Can't hurt. You know what they say, if it don't go, chrome it. If it don't run, paint it. I sent the cylinder head out to the machine shop, had it hot tanked and resurfaced. So now it's nice and straight and flat. The guy said it was warped pretty badly. So let me flip it over here. I've sourced a new head gasket. I'm going to go pick that up on Monday. And what I plan to do, I don't want to risk wrecking the new gasket again like I wrecked the last one. So what we want to do is, first off, I got these long 1/2-inch bolts, right? I'm going to cut the heads off and grind them to a taper on the end. And we'll use these as guide bolts. So we lower the head down perfectly straight onto the head gasket. And then to enable me to do that, what I did, these are 1/2-inch holes. So a 5/8 tap went down them quite nicely. So this corner and that corner, I ran the 5/8 tap down. And then I got a couple of old 5/8 bolts and welded some washers to them and made eye bolts. So we'll be able to use our cherry picker to just gently lower the head down perfectly level right onto the block. That should solve our problem. The original head gasket on this, unfortunately I can't find one anymore, was copper. And a copper head gasket is nice and soft and nice and thick and very forgiving, and it will take up a lot of warpage. It'll help you get away with using a warped head. But because now all you can get is a composition gasket, we don't have that luxury. Stuff has to be straight and flat. So hopefully the deck of the block is okay. I'm not about to send that out to have it decked. We will find out when we go to put this baby back together. I was pretty sure that the magneto was not timed properly, and unfortunately there's zero adjustment on it. It's just gear to gear to gear. So I read the book and reread the book, and I'm pretty sure it was out of time. So I took the magneto adapter and gear drive out, and look what I found. Chunk out of that tooth. There's a chunk out of another tooth up there. It looks like somewhere along the line the governor's come apart and the bits have gone through the gears and wrecked everything. So it just bothers me to leave it like that. So I'm going to lift off the radiator now. That big old cast iron radiator, we're going to lift that off. Then we'll have to support the tractor, lower the front axle, and take the front cover or bolster off of it. And I'm going to see a Fordson specialist next week. And hopefully he's got a pair of gears for this thing. And we'll get it all fixed up. Okay, so we got the crane and we lifted off the radiator. It's just held with 3 1/2-inch bolts from up underneath. It just sits on this side. And this here is your water connection. So what we have to do now is we're going to get the pulley off. And it looks as though there's a pin that goes through it. We'll figure it out. It's not easy without a book, eh? This looks like an add-on piece to drive the loader. Anyway, we'll see what's in there. And then once we've got the pulley off, then we got to take these bolts out. And there's a couple from up underneath. And we have to remove the center pin of the axle because it hangs from this, and we'll just kind of let the axle sit on a pair of stands. And then we should be able to pull this cover off, or bolster, and we'll be able to get at the gears and see what we've got to do, see how bad they are. This here pin is what holds the crankshaft pulley onto the snout of the crankshaft. Now we're going to get in here with a puller and see if we can draw the pulley off. It came off quite easily. We'll clean this up, and when it goes back on, it'll go on even easier. Alright, now I've supported the front axle. It's got just a little play in there, and we're going to go ahead and knock this pin out. That's a big cotter pin, eh? Woo! Wow, that's a heck of a cotter pin, wouldn't you say? I'm glad it came out. Now we're going to knock out the pin. That's awesome. The pin came right out. So the front axle is free. I think what I'm going to do now is maybe put the jack under it and lower it down a little bit. I'd like to just kind of get it down out of there a little bit to kind of give me a bit of wiggle room with this big casting here. So that's what we'll do next. This is going down quickly. I wanted to pull this cam gear off so I could replace it, except it hits this oil slinger, which I can't get off unless I take the oil pan down. And to take the oil pan down, I have to remove this whole front axle assembly, which isn't too bad. I've already got the rear pin pulled out. And then I might as well just take the engine right off the tractor. So that's that's what we're doing now. I'm going to pull the axle off, then I'm going to move that axle stand back so I can get it at the drain plug and let the oil out of it. Apparently there's a lot. And we'll take it from there. Got the engine off. You can see here some of the things that make this unique. The clutch is wet. It lives in the oil. You can see the inside the bell housing here. That's been full of oil. It needs a good clean out. How the engine is lubricated, the ring gear as it's running picks up oil and forces it into this tube here, which runs the length of the engine and drops oil down to the bottom end and into the gear case up front. You can see here, there's the other end of the tube there. You can see all the crud that's stuck in it. So this thing is going to have to be completely taken apart and all cleaned up, and we'll start anew. Interesting, we found these two hunks of bushing or something inside the bell housing. I don't know if they're old starter parts or what the heck they are. We'll try and figure that out. We also need to figure out how to get the clutch apart / off. I think this here is the flywheel. It's a big heavy one. And this here is the pressure plate. So I'm going to just have a fast look at the manual and see what the heck we got to do to get this all off so I can get this thing bolted to a stand. While the flywheel was interesting, it's held on with a type of carriage bolt, but the nuts are on the inside of the engine. So to get it off, you have to stand it up on end, take the oil pan off, and then go around and take the nuts off and lift the engine off of it. Wow. So anyway, I got a surprise. I said, oh look, a piece of silicone from repairs past. And then, holy Moses, look at this. Somebody went crazy putting silicone on the oil pan or something. And it's all ended up getting picked up by the ring gear and fired up here. Hopefully I can get the oil tube out and I can clean it out, because I'm afraid it's packed with it too. That's not good when you're literally relying on splash to lube the entire engine. So hopefully we can get that out without too much fuss. We're going to mount this thing onto an engine stand now and see what we can do.